Well, here now you can see my compound, not quite in its heyday. This is before I put the observatory on top of the dome. Well, there you can see it there. And before I built my beautiful patio behind the house with the lawn and everything. Um, so, yeah, that was kind of the layout. And here we are beginning the construction of the dome. It was 45 feet in diameter. Quite an amazing structure. And now that the concrete pad had been poured, it was time to begin the construction. And this dome came as a complete kit. Every piece of wood, from the frame to the panel, the plywood panels to the metal connectors, everything came pre-cut, pre-drilled. It was just like putting together a big model. It was amazing. That right there only took 3 days from when they began. Oh, and believe it or not, they began on September 11th, 2001. But yeah, it only took 3 days to get the structure up, and another 2 days, and the entire exterior was covered with the plywood panels. It was really cool. And now inside, they're putting up the netting and spraying in the insulation. And then once that's done, they will put the interior plywood panels up. Obviously, this was winter. There's the vestibule. Now they're beginning to put in the plywood panels. I couldn't wait to start using the space. And I built these really badass, massive steel 400-pound doors. Now there's a problem. The because of all that hard surface and the circular or the spherical nature, the echo in here was just horrible. So what I do, I panel or I carpeted the entire interior from the wall up, and it was a huge job. You can see all the carpet I bought and those jigs. You see, there were 3 different sizes of triangles and a total of 72 panels. So I had to build this really complex, that's my bowling ball, ball and socket joint. So I could raise those panels up on my JBL lift, and we could put glue on the back of the carpet and then press the carpet to the inside of the dome. And then we'd pull the jig away, and before the carpet had time to peel off and fall down, they'd have to staple it in place as quickly as they could. Like I said, it was quite a job. So there's the JLG lift, and I hired a couple guys because it was too much for me to try and do by myself. So they first put all this glue. God, I think I must have spent $5,000 just on the carpet and the glue alone. It was a nasty job. It took about, from the time you started gluing the panel to the time it was stapled in place, it was about 15 minutes for each panel. So that's 15 minutes times 72 panels. There it is with my dome on the top, but now came the hard part is when everything got torn down. The entrance just terrible.
To my property. The gate was right up where those orange cones are on the right. Well, that's where the house was up there. And then this road here went down to my shop and my dome. Boy, when I was here just 2 days ago, the foundation of the house was still there. So there's the carport. Of course, the house used to be right behind it. So that means right here is where the shop was. And I'm actually standing right where my well was, my pump house. Yeah, so Wow, this place looks so different now. So this is where my dome stood, right here. Right here is where the dome. Now it's as if it was never here. Well, yeah, there's a little bit of remnants of it. So yeah, there's the dome's old position. My car would have been right where my fuel distillation building was. And of course the shop would have been right there, where those orange things are. You can see the remnants of my little pathway here with the stones. The stones have all been taken out, except for these ones here. And of course, this is where my swimming pool used to be, right here.
And before it was all torn down, this is what it looked like. I had that nice little walkway, I had my nice lawn, and the pool was right to the left of the lawn. It was an above ground, a 12 by 24, 4-foot deep pool. And there's the house, and then this was the patio I had built. Actually, I built it specifically for a so-called friend and his wife to get married here. It was my $75,000 wedding gift. They got married right in that little circular area. But no, this was a beautiful patio. Yeah, that's where they got married. There's the walkway up to the house, and yeah, that's where I was going to put in a natural hot tub. And there was there's that nice little spot, and that was my original hot tub. My outdoor stereo enclosure. God, I put so much work into this place. I mean, unbelievable amount of work. Yeah, I had those floating steps made. There were steel plates with the pavers, or those pavers on top. And then there was this little arched steel bridge that went over to the deck. And it too, as you can see, was covered in pavers. It was so nice, so beautiful. But this was now after I had sold the place a couple of years later when they began to remove everything. You see that little deck there? There was a recessed area that had one of these giant chess sets, with the 2-foot tall chess pieces made out of resin. And here you can see now there's the remains of the hot tub and the small deck. And all the pavers that had been there were taken up. They were too valuable to just be trashed. And yeah, there's where that natural hot tub would have been. There's a little circular area where the wedding took place. And that used to be my nice, beautiful lawn. And as you can see, that whole wall was coming down. I'm not sure what that big pit was for. Yeah, there's the walkway with the pavers removed. And all the pavers were pulled up from there. And also pulled off of the arched little metal bridge. There's where my deck had been. There's the only part remaining of the house now, well, or the deck. And obviously right there is where the house was. And the only thing remaining was that carport. They basically were going, this was 13 acres and it was zoned for 2.5 minimum. So they were going to put in a bunch of houses here. And this was a little walkway I would take to go down to my shop. And if the shop was still standing, it would be right about here to my right. There was actually a shop and then a storage building next to it with a space in between them. Yeah, it was a very sad day to have that taken down.